The 1970s. No smartphones, no GPS, no streaming, no social media, and somehow people were having the time of their lives. I'm Reto, and today we are going through 30 things from the 1970s that you will never experience again. Some of them you will miss, some of them you will not, and a few of them will make you question how any of us survive. Number 1. Saturday morning cartoons. Every Saturday morning, children across America woke up before their parents, poured a bowl of sugary cereal, sat close to the television, and watched cartoons for 3 hours straight. Scooby-Doo, Super Friends, Captain Caveman. There was no streaming, no recording. If you missed it, you waited an entire week. Every child in school had watched the exact same thing at the exact same time. That shared experience does not exist anymore. Today, every child watches something different on a different screen. The 1970s gave an entire generation the same thing simultaneously. Nobody appreciated it until it was gone. Number 2. Playing outside until the streetlights came on. Kids in the 1970s left the house in the morning with a bike and a vague plan, and did not come home until the streetlights turned on. No cell phones, no GPS, no check-ins. Parents did not know exactly where their children were at all times. This was not considered neglect. It was considered Tuesday. Children navigated neighborhoods, built things in empty lots, and sorted out their own problems without an adult present. They developed something called independence. It took all day and cost nothing. Number 3. Drive-in movie theaters. At the peak of drive-in culture in America, there were over 4,000 drive-in theaters operating across the country. You drove in, hung a small speaker on your window, and watched a movie under the open sky. Families brought blankets. Teenagers brought each other. The drive-in did not just show you a film, it gave you an event, something to drive to, something to set up, something to remember. Today, you can watch any film ever made from your sofa in under 30 seconds. Nobody remembers those films the same way they remember a drive-in. Number 4. Rotary phones. To make a phone call in the 1970s, you put your finger in a hole, dragged it around a dial, and waited for it to spin back before doing the next number. If you made a mistake on the last digit, you started completely over. If the number had a lot of 9s in it, you had a long evening ahead of you. There was also no caller ID. When the phone rang, you had no idea who it was. You picked it up and found out. This required a level of social courage that younger generations have simply never been asked to develop. Number 5. Polaroid cameras. You took a photo, and a small square of film slid out of the camera immediately. You shook it, waited, and watched the image slowly appear in front of you. Every picture was a surprise. You never knew exactly what you were going to get. Polaroid sold over 14 million cameras during the 1970s. People took photos carefully because each one cost money and you could not delete them afterward. Today, the average person takes more photos in a week than a 1970s family took in a year. Almost none of them are printed. Almost none of them are kept. The surprise is gone, and so is the care. Number 6. No seatbelt laws. In most of America, in the 1970s, wearing a seatbelt was completely optional. Children sat in the front seat. Children sat in the back with no restraints at all. Children rode in the boot of station wagons facing backwards, waving at the cars behind them. Nobody stopped them. The first mandatory seatbelt law in the United States did not come until 1984. Before that, it was simply a suggestion. A strong suggestion that most people ignored entirely. Everyone drove everywhere, and somehow, most of them arrived. Number 7. 3 TV channels. In most of America in the 1970s, television meant 3 choices: ABC, NBC, and CBS. That was everything available. A popular show could get 40 to 50 million viewers in a single night because there was almost nowhere else to go. Everyone in the country watched the same small group of programs. Television connected an entire nation because everybody experienced the same thing at the same time. Today, there are thousands of options, and a massive hit show might get 5 million viewers. Everyone watches something different. Nobody watches the same thing together anymore. Something was lost when the channels multiplied, and nobody noticed until much later. Number 8. Payphones. If you were not at home and needed to call someone in the 1970s, you found a payphone, put a coin in, and made your call. Payphones were on street corners, in shopping malls, in gas stations, and hotel lobbies everywhere. You also memorized phone numbers because you had no choice. The numbers of your family and closest friends lived in your head. Most people today do not know more than 2 or 3 phone numbers by heart. Ask them to recall a number they have called 100 times, and they will reach for their phone to find out. The memory was outsourced and it never came back. Number 9. The Sears Catalog. The Sears Catalog was a book the size of a telephone directory that arrived at your house twice a year. It contained everything Sears sold: clothing, furniture, tools, appliances, toys. Children spent hours circling items they wanted for Christmas. It was essentially Amazon as a book, delivered twice a year, with no reviews and no same-day delivery. People loved it. They planned purchases months in advance. When the new catalog arrived, the old one became a doorstop. It had a second life, and it earned it. Number 10. Not being reachable. In the 1970s, if you left the house, you were simply not available. Nobody could reach you. If someone called and you were not home, they called back later. There was no expectation that you would respond immediately. You were just gone, and that was completely acceptable. Today, being unreachable for more than an hour is considered suspicious. People send a message and expect a reply within minutes. In the 1970s, leaving the house meant you were free, completely and totally free. Nobody knew where you were. Nobody needed to. You came back when you were done. That is the thing from the 1970s we will never truly get back. And those are 30 things from the 1970s that are either gone completely or changed beyond recognition. The 1970s were not perfect. Nobody is claiming they were. But there was something in the pace of that decade, something in the simplicity of it, that we have not managed to replace with anything better. We replaced it with faster, with more, with louder, and somehow ended up with less of the things that actually mattered. Maybe the lesson was always there. We just stopped having the time to sit still long enough to hear it. And yet, here we are, still talking about it, still searching for it, still telling our children about a time when you could leave the house and just disappear into the day with nothing but a bike and the vague intention of coming home before dark. That is not nostalgia. That is something closer to grief, for a simpler version of life that left quietly while we were all looking at our phones. Which one do you miss the most? Tell me in the comments below, and if there is something we missed, you know where to find us. Share this with someone who grew up in the 1970s, and like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a rewind. I'm Reto, and this has been your Rewind.